welcome to Paranormal Extraction. Today we have Danny on talking about the theory of extraterrestrials. So let's all listen because he's got some really great stuff today. Hey Danny, how are you today?
Hello, good afternoon. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Yeah, well, good afternoon because you're in Florida.
Yes.
It's a good morning here. So we're going to talk about the theory of extraterrestrials today. And so what you have a disclosure that is coming out, that you're speaking about, that's coming out in April, correct?
June.
Oh, June. It's coming out in June. The government's going to do...
mouse.
Oh, wait.
Okay, there it is.
It's, the government disclosure is scheduled for June 24th.
What?
June 24th. Okay.
Really, Dan?
And what I believe it is on the news media all over the world, and people have U.F.O. Investigators have had this theory for a while. It goes back a few years. And the theory is that since NASA and their scientists tell us that there's no life on other planets, there's no extraterrestrial life elsewhere, now the theory is that it's almost like the hollow earth theory, where the extraterrestrials have been based under our oceans, under our continents, under the North Pole, under the South Pole. There was eyewitness reports of UFOs coming out of the Amazon River. They submerged themselves into the ocean. And so my theory is that the disclosure is going to be that they've been living under our noses.
Okay, Danny, aren't we talking about USOs, unidentified submerged objects?
They're so highly advanced. They're thousands of years more advanced than we are. And their technology has been around for thousands of years. And the theory is that they've been living and based underneath the oceans, underneath the North and South Pole, mountain ranges. They've been seen coming out of volcanoes in Mexico. And I believe the disclosure is going to be that they've been based secretly for thousands of years underneath the Earth's surface and underneath the oceans.
Okay, so you think that, so first of all, there's been eyewitness accounts of this, and I know that your background is in science, so why don't just explain to people really quick about yourself and the science behind this. I mean, because I know you have a lot of education, so what is your education behind this and knowing about this theory?
Well, in the 1980s, I was researching and studying the Bermuda Triangle. Okay, the Bermuda Triangle off the southeast coast of Florida. And then you have the Devil's Triangle off the southwest coast of California. Then you have the Dragon's Triangle off the northeast coast of Japan. And people, airplanes, ocean vessels just don't disappear. And when they had rescue parties looking underneath the ocean, looking for survivors, they didn't find any wreckage. They didn't find any corpses. They didn't find anything. So people and airplanes and ocean vessels just don't disappear. Okay. They had to go somewhere.
Right.
And there's also an alien UFO connection with those eyewitness accounts too. There was a fishing boat that seen something really weird, and all the crew of the fishing boat were interviewed, and they seen the USOs coming in and out of the water. So, see, their vehicles have the capability not just to travel through space, but they have the capability of interdimensional travel. They can go anywhere they want at any given time. That's how advanced they are.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Now, the newest reports and eyewitness accounts from U.S. Navy personnel, Navy aviators, pilots, they were doing naval exercises off the southwest coast of California just a few years ago. And they seen a UFO that they nicknamed the Tic Tac. Because
Yeah.
it looked like a giant Tic Tac.
Yes, okay, they've shown that on TV, haven't they?
Yes.
Okay.
The pilots that were interviewed, the female pilot that was interviewed, and the other 3 male pilots that were interviewed, they were flying their fighter jets to intercept it. And in their eyewitness accounts, they claimed that it went as just incredible speeds, 90-degree angle turns, in and out of the ocean. So they're credible eyewitness accounts because they're Navy personnel.
Right.
And and then you have the eyewitness accounts of law officers, and it was caught on their dash cams. And of course, these people are professional, and they might be afraid to report it, where people might think they're crazy, but they're not crazy. They know they've seen something.
Okay, so the disclosure is coming out because of why? Because of the Tic Tac, or what is the reason?
Well, you have all the Navy high brass that wants answers. What did their people see? And I read the reports, and after this happened, and they landed back on the aircraft carrier, there were 2 Black Hawk helicopters that approached the aircraft carrier, landed on the aircraft carrier, and these people looked like officials from Area 51.
Okay,
and they told the captains, an aircraft carrier has 2 captains. It has a deck captain that is responsible for everything that happens on top deck. And then they have another captain of below deck. So after these Black Hawk helicopters landed on the aircraft carrier, and it was the USS Nimitz, the new one, they were told that they didn't see anything, to be quiet. And then the helicopters took off and went back to Area 51. So there's an Area 51 connection there.
Okay, so they've been covering up these different crafts since 1940s, if I'm not correct, is when it started. So the disclosure is coming out because, I'm going to ask you the question again, is because of what? Because there's too many sightings and people want to know, or is it that they want us to finally know?
People have the right to know what's flying over their heads, over their houses, over their property. They have the right to know. And that is one of the main reasons that's driving this disclosure. Okay? In 1997, the governor of Nevada and his grandson were in a public park playing basketball. And the big black flying V UFO flew overhead. And they both seen it. And this, at the time, in 1997, this was the governor of Nevada with his grandson. And they wanted to know what happened. And it took years and years for this disclosure to be coming out soon.
Was that,
Well,
Because
Ronald Reagan also disclosed it. I mean,
yes,
so we have
Yes.
Ronald Reagan that was wanting to disclose it, and there was another president too, I think, that wanted.
Yes.
Which president
yes.
was
Jimmy Carter,
right?
President Jimmy Carter, when he was a little younger, years before he ran for president, he had a UFO encounter also.
Right, and Reagan, he was at a party when he went outside from the party, and that's where he saw one.
no, I'm going to
Yes.
correct you on that.
Yes.
They were on their way to him and his
You
wife
know, and
were on a way
and
to a party.
people
They
who
were
have
late.
been researching UFOs and everything,
Mhm.
there's two sides of inquiry. One side is it's a top secret government project, a top secret airplane, a top secret space plane. And then other people believe, no, it's not a government top secret project. It's unidentified flying objects of an extraterrestrial origin. So you've got those two sides debating what it is. And I believe that there's nothing man-made on this planet right now that can move in 90-degree angles and go from 0 to 45,000 miles per hour in just the blink of an eye.
Right,
It's impossible.
right,
But there are government projects, there are space planes, there are top secret airplanes. There's new designs of aircraft that come out every day. So I don't think that they're top secret airplanes. I think that they're from an extraterrestrial origin. You know, every religion in the world has the story of sky people, people coming down from the sky. It's been written and it's been carved in stone. There's been monoliths built all over the world. And if you look at these monoliths, especially the ones in South America, they look like they were cut with very, very high-tech tools. Now, those tools didn't exist in our history, but one of the theories is that thousands of years ago, there was a mothership, an extraterrestrial mothership that crash landed on Earth somewhere. And there were survivors. Now, they weren't able to repair their spacecraft and take off, but they had tools that were very advanced, and they wanted to leave a marking that would last thousands of years. So that's why they used stone. So that's another interesting idea to think about. There's been, you know, you've got the pyramids in Egypt, very, very famous. And each stone weighs over 2 tons. Some of the stones weigh 4 tons. And archaeologists have been trying to figure out for years how they were made. You know, the technology that we have today, it would take us 20 years to build one pyramid.
well,
With what we have today.
right, now there's also Easter Island, okay, that they also talk about, and there's multitudes. Oh, there you are, okay, you disappeared for a second. there's multitudes of other places, one being a pyramid that has mercury in the bottom of it. There's a whole level of mercury that they were using to use as actual power, as some type of battery or something, I think. Is that something you know about?
Yes. The Egyptians were into alchemy, and they were into a lot of superstitious stuff. And they had the technology. They had the ancient technology of using mercury to possibly the theory that they might have used the mercury to cut the stone,
Oh,
shape this.
okay.
It's hard. It's hard to say. We're working with theories of conjecture and educated guesses of some very, very intelligent people. So that's one of the great mysteries of the earth.
Right,
And
they're all over the world, actually.
oh yeah, there's a mountain in South America right next to I can't remember the name, Picanichu. I'm sorry, but there's one mountain that looks like the whole top of the mountain has been removed and everything's flat. That would have to take a lot of technology in order to do that. It didn't happen naturally. They looked to see if it happened with a volcano, but they didn't find any evidence that it was done with a volcano, because the nearest volcano is about 1,000 miles away.
Is that the one that has the lines on the earth that look like some type of airplane?
Yes.
Or U.F.O? They claim it would be
Well,
a U.F.O. That's the theory, but the lines
Yes.
in the earth that take off from the top of the mountain.
Yes.
So, and these are actual real photos, and they show them and they speak about them quite extensively.
Yes, the hieroglyphs are huge. They can only be seen from the air.
Oh,
Yes.
right. Those are the ones
Yes.
that are in the ground, of like the hummingbird I saw. There's one of the hummingbird, and then they have a multitude of others, but they actually carved in the ground these different things, right? I mean, not things,
Yes.
but animals,
Yes, and
people. And
Yes, and
there's no way that they could do that without seeing from above.
yes, there's a new hieroglyph on the ground that's been discovered in India recently. There was a mountain range where all the snow on the mountain melted, and they discovered a new hieroglyph on the ground, just like the ones in South America. The new one has been discovered in India.
Okay.
And there's also one in Canada that looks like an American native Indian head that can only be seen from above.
Right. And
Yes.
so you're talking how many years ago? I mean, because they can figure that out. How many years ago?
They've been carbon dated to about 3,000 to 4,000 years ago.
Okay. All right. So, okay, so if they're going to disclose this, we also talked about the USOs going into the water and living down there. Now, what kind of, if you're talking about all these USOs and then, of course, going into the mountains, because I actually did an interview with a guy that did see them go into the mountains. And then you also have the famous guy that went down and saw the reptilians and got his arm ripped off by one.
Schneider.
Actually, his name is Schneider. And
Yes.
he came up and then he came out and disclosed this. And then he had a death of unknown circumstances after he disclosed all this. And so we also have the reptilian race. However, the most common extraterrestrials that they're talking about are all greys and not
Yes.
reptilian. Is that the case?
Well, you've got different species of extraterrestrial aliens that have been reported in eyewitness accounts, and people who have been kidnapped, and when they wake up, they realize how much time they have lost. And you see, the ETs are so advanced in science and technology and space travel that through generations they've lost their ability of making offspring, having children. They've lost that ability. And people who have been kidnapped, they and have their DNA taken, have their body, some of their body fluids taken.
Yeah.
They need the male and female body fluid in order to clone themselves.
Right. Now,
They don't repopulate like we do.
well, because a lot of them, because I've done a lot of research, but I've also talked to a lot of very well-known people about this, but they also talk about being probed mainly through their sexual parts of their body.
Yes.
One being their buttocks, and then the other would
Yes.
be their penises or vaginas.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I mean, I want to be clear on what I'm talking about, but also.
Yes, the science of cloning, even here today, where our technology is, you have to have those pieces of the puzzle in order to produce a clone. Now, they're so advanced, their cloning process, they would only need the main ingredients to repopulate and keep their population going. And all the people that I've interviewed and that I've read cases about that have been kidnapped and brought into these saucer-shaped spacecraft by the aliens, they need those ingredients. They need those sexual organs and DNA and body fluid in order to keep themselves going.
Now, I've really
They might also use that as medicine if they get sick.
Okay, so I've heard of this, but would that be the ones that look very human that are in when these people are taken up and they're being abducted?
Hybrids.
They see the grays, but they also have seen ones that look very human. So would you suggest that those would be the clones?
Well, there's a famous U.F.O. abduction case that had to do with a young lady. And when she woke up in her bedroom back in her home, a few weeks later, she started getting she started to get symptoms to show that she was pregnant.
Okay, I know about this one, right.
And when the baby was born, it did have some features that were not human.
Like what?
The ears were pinned back. The chin area was a little longer. The back of the skull was a little elongated. The eyes were different. Her fingers were a little longer than usual. And
So did they chalk this up as a birth defect? Why hasn't that been disclosed?
well, at first the doctor thought it was a birth defect. But as the child grew older into its adulthood, some of the features were more dominant. And it's very interesting. Because of the Confidentiality Act, I really don't know where those people are today. They might be protected by the government. They might be somewhere that's being a location that's classified in order to ensure that their safety, for them to be safe and for us to be safe from them, that they might have been surrogated and they might be under government protection right now.
Okay, there's a new movie coming out now. We all know about the John Walton movie that came out. I mean, that's very famous, but I just spoke with somebody who's also very well known in the industry, and I'm actually going to be interviewing him down the road. But there's also, I mean, more and more people are coming out about their experiences. They feel more comfortable doing that. So this guy had an experience very similar to John Walton, and they're going to be making another movie about it. So if you also look on Netflix or Amazon, there's a plethora of alien documentaries that are out now and movies. So do you think that they're preparing the public for this disclosure that they're coming out in June?
Yes, they're preparing. They're editing what they are going to say. But the thing is, you know, in the 1930s, there was a radio broadcast of War of the Worlds.
I remember that.
And, you know, and people coming home from work, they thought it was real. They thought it was a real news report. And people were scared. And some people committed suicide by jumping out of tall buildings. So you've got a group of politicians on one side that wants the government to disclose this information so that people know what's going on. And then you've got one side of the table where, oh, they're not ready yet. They can't comprehend this. We don't want to cause another panic that happened back in the 1930s.
Okay.
We don't want people to get paranoid and scared. But there was a poll recently that a college did, and it said that 85% of the U.S. population believe in UFOs,
Right.
and that they're ready for this information, and they've been waiting for this information. So it's got to balance out the way they prepare their words, the way that they're going to say it.
Well,
And they're gonna tell people, you know, don't panic. The extraterrestrials are not militant. They're not conquerors. They're not here to destroy the world. They're not here to harm us. They're actually here to guide us and help us. But they do have some ways of their science that would be considered inhumane. All those poor people that were kidnapped,
right.
and the doctors and the psychiatrists had to put them under hypnosis,
Yes.
in order for them to remember, and they're being counseled. They're going through therapy, and it's very serious.
It is.
You know, it's a very serious situation, and these people should not be ignored. They had a trauma happen to them, and they need to be protected, and they need to be understood, and they need to be heard.
Well, and they're coming out like wildfire right now. Like I said, this guy that's, pretty well known was speaking to me about that, but I mean, he has a plethora of information and interviews that he has done, and like 10 books out, and now he's going to be doing movie deals, and it's just popping for him right now. So I can see why they're trying to prepare us for these
Yes.
to come down. Now, if they're science, are they just gonna disclose, obviously, I mean, this is what I think, this would be my theory, they're just gonna disclose only that they're there, not in a gentle way, not what we're talking about, the in-depth theories that we have, but more on a gentler, softer way to get the public to understand that on what they're doing here. Am I correct on that?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. They're getting all the paperwork done. Now, the people who work in the Pentagon are writing the dossier. There's going to be a dossier over 1,000 pages, and it's going to be periodically. They're going to give out the information periodically, very slowly, for people to understand what's going on. And the dossier is going to be put in front of Congress at one point in time. There might be some hearings of people who work for NASA, some people that work for Area 51 that are getting ready to retire might come out of the woodwork. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
Now, they already did this, and I can't remember his name. He's on Ancient Aliens, but he was part of the higher up government, and they already went in front of like the Congress, like in, I think it's Britain or the UK or somewhere like that, to have them disclose this information, and they were shut down. So,
well, yes, a retired the Canadian Secretary of Defense that's retired. He's a big pusher on UFO and extraterrestrial information being disclosed to the public. And in Europe, the UFO phenomenon is out in the open.
right.
It's in their newspapers. It's in their social media. It's all over. They don't hide anything too much from the public.
Right.
Over there, they're more open about it.
Right. So
Yes.
I wonder why they're not doing that here, because they're so far more advanced in dealing with this in different countries. But I mean, even in Mexico, okay, so
Yes.
here we see the Tic Tac. They can't deny it anymore because that's been on the news. I mean, they're
Yes,
actually
it has.
showing that on the news now, preparing people for it. But
Yes.
I don't understand why our country isn't doing the same thing that they've been doing, because they've already gone in front of Congress, but they got shut down, of course.
Well, all the major airline companies, manufacturing companies like Martin and Douglas and all those big airplane manufacturing companies, they're all in competition against each other to come out with the newest idea in jet propulsion, wing design, the different designs of an airplane that's aerodynamic, which what keeps the airflow of the airplane flying type of engineering. And since they're all in competition with each other, they don't give the information out. If some aeronautical designer comes out with this new concept of an airplane for a jet, they steal each other's ideas. So
That's very common. That's very common. I mean, even for flights that go, to Mars, or you're trying to do the Mars thing now, but to the moon. I mean, they're all, especially Japan, I think, is one of the head ones that we're in competition with. Is it Japan? Is it Japan?
China.
Well,
it's
China.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition in aeronautical design with the Chinese too. Yes.
Right.
Yes. They put a probe on the moon recently. Japan has a probe that it's going to be going to Mars pretty soon. So yeah, there's a lot of competition, and one thing I wanted to say is the history of Area 51. After World War II, some Air Force colonels and some Navy admirals got together. And they're the ones that started Area 51. Now, before Area 51 started, they tested all those atomic bombs during World War II. That's where they tested the atomic bombs. And when a nuclear bomb goes off, it puts out a signal into deep space. The signal it's very powerful. It bounces off the surface of the Earth faster than the speed of light, and it puts out a signal into space. Now, the extraterrestrials might have thought, look at this signal coming from Earth. It's nuclear. It's radioactive. Oh, maybe an asteroid hit the Earth. We better go check that out. And when they came to check it out, and they found out that the U.S. military were testing, even though they called it atomic bombs back in those days, it was a nuclear weapon. That's what attracted the extraterrestrials more to Earth.
Right.
Because
they don't want us to do it. There's another case where I can't remember if it was on a ship or somewhere else where they had a nuclear bomb, and they saw the extraterrestrials shooting around where the bomb was, and they actually it went out. It turned off. So they stopped it from even being tested. So are they?
Yes.
So they're anti nuclear weapon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. So what else do we have here on the disclosure? Now, why is it June? Or let's just say it's not going to be June. You're saying it's going to come out in June, but if it doesn't come out in June, do you think it's going to come out? Obviously, it's going to come out sometime. But
well, yes. All the videos that were released from Air Force pilots, Navy pilots, that's the beginning. They might try to prolong it. Some of the people who are the big shots at Area 51 might say, hey, look, lay off that disclosure for a little while. Or, but I'll put it to you this way. The good people that are on their property late at night and they go out in their yard and they look up, they know what they're seeing.
Right.
And it can be very incredibly scary to try to comprehend the fact that we're not the only civilization on a planet in this part of the solar system.
Well, they also
You know?
had that one that went over Arizona, and the
Yes.
governor made fun of it, and then he came on and actually told the truth about what he
Yes.
saw, because people were so upset about it, because they actually did see this huge craft in Arizona.
Phoenix Lights.
The Phoenix
Yes.
Lights, right, the Phoenix Lights.
Yes, the Phoenix Lights.
Right. So we got a plethora of information on this UFO and the disclosure of it and why. Is there any last words that you'd like to talk about that before we end our session today?
Well, everybody has a smartphone with a camera. That cannot be controlled. That cannot be monitored. So I suggest go out, UFO hunting, have fun. If you manage to capture something on your phone, then you'll have your own evidence. We live in a time of technology where we can do that today. The government can't monitor and put laws on people walking around with cell phones.
Right.
So we have that freedom. So I say to all those people that believe in UFOs and all the people that might be a little skeptical, well, there's going to be a lot of people with photographs in their gallery in their smartphones.
Right. Well, I've had two experiences with seeing them, but of course I didn't get my camera out because I was so in awe. So you got to have your camera out the minute you see it, and then do it, because they disappear so fast. I mean, they're gone.
Yeah. Don't let the size of the universe make you feel any indifferent. Because the same ingredients that are out there in the universe are also inside the human body. And that's what makes us unique. And that's why the ETs are interested in us, because we're a very, very diverse species. They learn from us.
Right.
As well as we can learn from them.
Right, exactly. And it's about time that they do disclose this, so we can understand that they're not as horrible as we think they are. So we're going to wrap this up today. I think that we've talked about it pretty extensively. And I'm really excited about you coming on today, because I really think this was an excellent interview with you.
Yes, I thank you. I'm honored to be on your show. I've been looking forward to this for a while, and I thank you very much.
Well, I thank you too, because this needs to be, people need to see this. They absolutely need to understand more than just about a UFO, or Tic Tac on the news, and they don't know what it's about. So I really like the way that you showed everybody through your speaking. I can't remember the name of what I was going to say, the word, on just more information that they can gather, rather than those stupid things that come on TV. That's what I was going to say, but not really well. But anyway, so I want to say thank you, and we're going to say over and out.
Live long and prosper. Awesome. Okay. Bye-bye, both of you. Great job.